And we're back! Hello there friends, welcome back to my yearly Ask Me Anything Answer-a-thon Q&A of sorts. You send in your questions and I answer the first half of them, the first 37 out of 77 on the previous video. If you haven't seen it, annotation on the screen right now, a card and a link in the description below, go watch it first. I answered a bunch of really silly questions like, Max, what is your favorite Love Live waifu? And where did you meet Plague? That being said, that was all questions from the previous session. This time around, we're gonna answer the last remaining 40 questions, starting with number 38. Time travel or space adventure? I love time travel. I think it is one of my favorite things in media. After all, my favorite movie is Back to the Future, and my favorite game of all time is Chrono Trigger. That being said, if I was to write one, I would probably write space adventure because I don't feel like, and maybe it's just because I'm so close to time travel, I don't know if I could do a really good time travel story. It's weird. I would rather read about it than write about it, and space adventure is pretty fun. Question number 39. History-based fantasy or modern setting fantasy? I am gonna have to go with modern setting fantasy, mostly because I just love, like, modern fantasy so much. I love the idea of, like, I love books like the Dresden Files, you know, by Jim Butcher, and I love ideas of, like, elves and dwarves and these mythological creatures are living in the modern day, you know, like, or also things like Shadowrun, where like the magic returns to the world and you have the mesh of technology and magic put together. Modern setting fantasy is probably the most exciting out of the two for me. Question number 40, one that I've gotten a lot, like in the last 2 weeks. Will you ever play Life is Strange? I have not played Life is Strange. I have not spoiled myself on anything. I have disconnected myself from anything Life is Strange related so as to not be spoiled. When that happens, because it's not if, because I haven't played it because I don't have a console on which to play it or the means with which to record it. I have a PS3, but I would need a capture card and those things cost money. But when I do, I will play with Kitty because she has seen lots of LPs of it. So I want to have that situation as with The Walking Dead Season 2, in which she knew everything and I didn't. And you could see it in her face when I was making a bad choice. It was really fun. But yeah, no, it's totally a thing that I want to see happen. 41, probably the toughest question in the entire thing. 5 favorite characters of all time and why? That is really freaking tough, and I'm going to be inspired by one of the earlier questions, which asked me what were my 5 books/worlds, and that top 5 was the Harry Potter books, of course, the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher, Furies of Cauldron by Jim Butcher, Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, and The Chronicles of Amber by Roger Zelazny. And I'm going to tell you my favorite character from each one and why. As for Harry Potter, my favorite character was Kreacher. And I started out hating Kreacher. I didn't like Kreacher. I thought it was just a really annoying creature. Ha ha ha. But by the end of the last book, I was just like, the 2 hard-hitting moments for me in that final book both had to do with house elves. And that final moment with Kreacher was just like that's what hit me really freaking hard, because whenever characters show gratitude, that's just like, yes, Kreacher from Harry Potter. It's like I'm feeling tingles all over my face. That is a good character arc right there. That's just a good character arc. As for the Harry Dresden books, if I can't actually pick Harry Blackstone Copperfield Dresden, I would go with Bob, his floating skull ghost buddy who just does nothing but be snarky and make jokes throughout the entire book series. Really funny. As for Furies of Cauldron by Jim Butcher, I forget, and I am sorry, it's been like 3 years since I last read the books, and I don't remember exactly who it is, but I forget the name, but it is the main leader of the spies. That first guy, he has one of the best character arcs, and especially on the 4th book, or the 3rd/4th book, when he's entirely gone except for the last scene, and he realizes that he's made a terrible mistake. And it's one of those things where it's like, I thought I picked the right side, but I guess I didn't, and I love that. I forget his name, and I'm really sorry because it's been so long. As for the Mistborn series, I love Kelsier. Kelsier is basically, he comes off as being the main character for like half of the book, and then, you know, someone else takes over, and he's still around for a really good while. Kelsier is just, he's a giant dork. He's a giant dork with a really tragic backstory, and the sort of person who people look up to because they inspire people. And Kelsier is just not only like super cool and awesome, but he's legitimately a giant dork. And whenever he's sitting down, Brando Sanderson made a point to let you know that he's sitting on the chair the wrong way. He's sitting with like resting on the top of the chair every time. And I know, just that always to me, it kind of signified how much of a dork he is. And this one I know really easily. My favorite character from Roger Zelazny's Chronicles of Amber has got to be, no question about it, Random. Random is one of the 9 princes in Amber, and he has a ridiculous name, sure, but also I love him because you meet him really early on, and you see he's almost like, I want to say he's one of the main characters, basically. Although it's really weird to say because the Chronicles of Amber is really, really, really weird, but he's one of the shadiest members of the family, because if you've read 9 Princes in Amber, you know that this entire family is a goddamn mess. But Random is the one that nobody thought was threatening, and his arc is just like, it's so good, and the final book of the first arc, book 5, like, gives Random his moment, and I'm just like, my heart. Also, I love Random, and I despise the fact that Roger Zelazny just forgets about Random in the second arc, books 6 through 10. I've read all of them, by the way. And like to the point where like Roger Zelazny just goes, yeah, you know Random, who was like short and kind of thin and not very muscular and had like medium blonde hair. Yeah, now he's tall, muscular, and has brown hair. I was about to swear super freaking hard. Roger Zelazny dropped the ball on that, but I love Random anyhow. He's one of my favorite characters. That went on for way too long. Question number 2. How does one go about gathering an audience for your book? If I were to self-publish, how do I make sure that my book gets noticed and doesn't just blow away unnoticed like a dust in the wind? This is one of those writing questions that I tossed in here because I guess I can answer it relatively quickly. I mean, I could do a whole video on this, but that's not really the purpose of this video. So anyhow, how does one go about gathering an audience for a book? Start a blog, start tweeting, start social media, start a YouTube channel. So one of those things. You want people looking at what you do? You gotta put yourself out there. And I've done talks about this, and I've told people about this. And every time I do, there's like, I'm just gonna come out and say it. There's like those 7 or so people who just really want to make money with writing, who just groan at me. They're like, oh, that's so much time. I don't have time for that. You just said it. If you just put things out there and hope that they're gonna become big, that's not gonna happen. Put yourself out there, talk, share your opinion, your point of view on whatever it is. It doesn't have to be books or writing advice. It can just be you. Kind of like what I do. Just talk about you and what you do. Because otherwise it's just not gonna happen. Again, talk, show people your book, and keep making content. Simple as that. Question 43. Any advice for choosing just one writing project, book, to stick with? I have narrowed it down to 2, but I always get burnt out if I stick to just one. How do I write 2 books successfully and productively at a time? I wouldn't know, because that's not how I do writing. I hate to put it like this, but every writer is different. I have never in my life done or known a writer who can write 2 books at the same time. I know there are people out there. I bet there has got to be a writer out there that does it. It ain't me. I understand how you feel, and I understand how it can be like really stressful to wanting to work on two projects at the same time. I don't do that. I honestly just pick one and I try to finish it as fast as possible, because I am the sort of person, I get burnt out on something, or I can easily lose momentum if something gets in the way. Again, this is not even remotely close to an answer. I recommend you just inspect how you feel and try things out. The best way for you, because again, every writer is different, test things, play around with things, and see what works for you and what doesn't. Question 44. I handwrite all of my books in notebooks for first drafts. I love it, but I get impatient and want to type it up already when I'm not even finished. Should I wait till I'm done with the notebook before typing it up? I've talked about this recently as well. Honestly, I don't handwrite books anymore. I think I did it once when I was in high school, and it was kind of ineffective. I've shared this in the past. I like to just type up books from the start because it's faster for me. Like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Everyone is different. If you like to write and then type, that's all fine. I like to just type from the start because it brings me closer to that finished first draft, which then I can revise and stuff like that. Again, I'm the sort of person I like to work relatively quickly and fastly to get that first draft out there, because that to me is the hardest part of the entire process. That's why I don't really handwrite anymore. So, I mean, Should I wait until I'm done with the notebook before typing it up? You're asking me what I think, what I would do. I wouldn't write it on the notebook to begin with, but maybe you'd like to do it. Maybe you enjoy doing that. You enjoy the process. In which case, see what works for you, test things out, and see how things evolve from there. Question 45. What is your favorite tense? I have fallen in love with present tense recently. I have tried all of them. Honestly, past tense is kind of my favorite because it feels really solid in my mind. It feels like a really familiar friend that I can play with and work with. That being said, I've done present. I'm not against it, but I'm just a really big fan of past tense. It gives me a lot of ability to play with the reader and also blindside them if need be, to make plot twists hurt a lot more in the future. Question 46. Tips for present tense. I have one. During the revision process, read your work out loud and keep an eye out for instances in which you wrote in past tense, because that's one of those things that can slide by so easily. To you, they may not stand out, but to someone who's reading the book, they'll pop out so hard, and you don't want to have mistakes like that. So again, in the act of revision, read it out loud and keep an eye out for switches in the tense. Okay, so this next question is a little bit complicated, and it says so in the question itself, so tag along. This is complicated, but I am vegan and have made most of my characters so as well, because making them eat meat and whatnot makes me sick. But it seems forced and certain characters don't have to have a connection to the lifestyle. What to do? This is one of those things that a lot of people deal with. Not the vegan part, but like writing characters whose beliefs are directly contrary to what you believe in. I have written a lot of murderous bastards. I've written a lot of homophobic characters as well. Terrible people. Filthy, terrible people. It's part of the writing process. Understand that those characters are not you. And ultimately, writing is just about misplacing yourself. If you can write about someone who's a murderous asshole, I'm sure you can write about someone eating meat. Also, I don't think I've written a single scene in all of my books in which characters are purposefully eating meat. Like, I think the most I've done is like they were having lunch, and Lucian was having bacon and eggs for breakfast. And I was like, first off, there's no way, unless you put it in your bio, that your readers are gonna know you're vegan, first off. Secondly, no one is gonna demand you that you describe the act of eating bacon. Question number 48. What books have you cried over after finishing? I don't think any book has made me like bawl. I don't think any book has made me cry, but the last Harry Potter book hit me really, really, really hard, to the extent where like I had to stop for a moment just to acknowledge everything, and both of those moments had to do with house elves. Like, there's two moments, and both of them had to do with house elves, and I was just, whenever characters show gratitude, it always kills me. It always bloody kills me. But no, how about yes, the last Harry Potter book. Question 49. Can I be your kawaii apprentice? Of course, I would gladly accept you into the school of kawaii, where I will teach you kawaii fu. We will do all those things like run up mountains and like meditate underneath falling waterfalls and learn what it truly means to be kawaii. But still, as out of the way, of course, you can join me, of course. Post cute selfies. Let me know. I'll reblog them and retweet them. That's a promise right there. Number 50. What are some of your favorite films/film genres? Just once again, really quickly, I consume everything. I take pride in devouring anything you give me. I'll watch anything. Some I may not enjoy, but I'll watch it. Hell knows I'll watch it. As for my favorite films, I love the Back to the Future trilogy. It's my favorite movie series. As for other stuff, I honestly, Quentin Tarantino can be hit and miss, but when he's hit, he hits really well. It's a problematic movie, but I goddamn love Django. Django is so good because it made me feel for the most racist asshole ever. That moment with Leonardo DiCaprio as Candide. That one moment, you know what I'm talking about. That one moment with him and Samuel L. Jackson actually hit me. And for a second I realized, holy crap, I feel bad for this racist asshole. Question 51. And this is coming from Kendra, I remember. We have talked a bit about Welcome to Night Vale before. Do you listen to any other audio dramas? Not really. Not out of any value, it's just I haven't found any. And I haven't finished Welcome to Night Vale as well, because, and I hate to put it like this, it's not finished. So it's one of those things where, I can't find completion. So I may pick it up once there's some sort of, nice cutoff or something, so I can actually feel like I've actually completed it. But other than that, I listen to audiobooks all the time. Like, I know it kind of doesn't really count, but like I'm always listening to an audiobook. Like whenever I'm washing dishes or putting on makeup or waking up in the mornings, it's always an audiobook because it's the best way to like slide in another book in between your entire lifestyle. Question number 52. Any new music recommendations for writing? I have a video coming up really soon, where I talk about my top 5 albums for writers of 2015. You should keep an eye out for that. Other than that, lots of new video game soundtracks. Like, whenever a new game comes out, I'm like, alright, let's check out your soundtrack. Are you good enough to write to? Most of them is yeah. If you want just a really quick recap, I recommend Fully and Wholly, anything by Ben Prunty this year. Ben Prunty, go to benprunty music.bandcamp.com, I think. He released 5 albums this year, and they're all good. He gets it. He totally gets it. And I love his musical style. As for anything else, Read Only Memories. The soundtrack is really good. It's absolutely worth it. And so is the Undertale soundtrack. Question number 53. When can we expect the second book of Raven's Gem? I'm really looking forward to it! ! As with the previous Sophie question, it's gonna happen. It's going to happen. I want it to. Serpent's Gem is gonna happen eventually. I know. I want to find the best way to release those books. Whether it is in a serialized format or release them on a weekly basis on Wattpad for free and then charge for the compilation, I want to find the way that works for my readers and for myself and for the patrons as well. Simple as that. It's just a matter of trying a lot of things out. Question number 54. What countries did you visit so far? Would you like to move to any other country? If yes, which one? I have been to 2 countries. I've been to Mexico and I've been to the United States of America. I've been to a lot of places inside those particular countries, but just those 2. As for places that I would like to visit, Kitty talks big game about Japan, so I would love to go to Japan. It sounds pretty cool. Public transportation that actually doesn't suck. I would love to see how that looks like. If I could, I'll probably move there. Sounds pretty cool. Question number 55. Can we see what Plaguesworth looks like? No. Mostly because he's not here. He's recording HOTS right now. And he has made it a point to never reveal what he looks like. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a little bit of Plaguesworth in each of his drawings. That's just being honest right there. I revealed on the previous episode that he is actually my younger brother. He's 2 years younger than me. And he looks nothing like me. In case you are like, okay, let's actually just shift Max's face a little. No, we don't look anything alike. I look a lot like my mom, and my sister looks a lot like my dad. And Plague, who is the youngest, he looks precisely like both my mom and my dad combined. So seriously, he's taller than me, he's wider than me, and he has a longer face. It's we don't look anything alike. Question number 56. Did you watch One Punch Man? If yes, do you like it? I have not. I am meaning to, and I will probably eventually watch it sometime next year. Question number 57. What kind of music do you listen to, if not writing playlists? Basically, anything by Ellie Goulding. I love Ellie Goulding. I seriously, amazingly do. She's the best. I love her. If I'm not listening to Ellie Goulding, I am listening to musicals. I have an entire enormous playlist of nothing but Les Mis, multiple versions of Les Mis. I have 4 different versions of Sweeney Todd. I've got Rent. I've got Chicago. I love musicals. I'm a giant dork. As though you didn't already know that. Anyhow, question number 58. Have you ever had a dream which came true later? What was it about? Yes, I effectively predicted the release of Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, because I had a dream in which the moon fell on the world and the moon had a face, except the moon was X-shaped, but don't worry about that. And then a week later, I watched on the Mexican TV show hosted by Nintendo. On the E3, they revealed Majora's Mask coming for the Nintendo 64. That's right, I predicted it. I am Kirin Damus, and I will predict the rest of the world, the rest of the year right now. I'm having a vision. A game will come out, an indie game will be released, and people will like it, and it will most likely be a roguelite, and people will soon believe that it is overrated. A story-based game will also be released, and people will make it a point to spoil it. And also, a big AAA publisher will release a new game of a series, and it's gonna be terrible, yes. And that's about it for my video game predictions of 2016. Question number 59. How do you come up with ideas for your books? Have you seen my video for how to plan a novel? Because that is exactly how I do it. Check it out on my channel. It's a full workshop. That's literally what I do. Because whenever I put a video like that, people ask me, okay, but really, how do you plan books? And I'm like, do you think I would go through the trouble of making a big video that takes like days to edit, to hold secrets? No. Whatever it's in that video, that's exactly how I plan books. Seriously. Question number 60. How did you come up with Raven's Gem? That is, of course, my fantasy / Age of Sail book that I wrote a bit ago. I actually did it with the old version of the planning guide that actually required like drawing shapes and a lot of like diagrams, and of course those are not present anymore because they were kind of a bit of a waste of time. Ultimately, when I sat down to write Raven's Gem, I wanted to tell a story based on three things. I wanted it to have a gem-based system. I wanted it to involve the nobility of a medieval / Age of Sail sort of world, and I wanted it to revolve around a duel. And that's basically the little elements, because that's, if you know Raven's Gem, it's really not really about that, because it's more about the characters. That's kind of how my stories progress. They start with an idea and then they evolve, and what came out of that became Raven's Gem, a story about a young man running away from his past, backdropped against a strange world where people have black blood, and the gems of the earth give them strange powers. Question number 61. What can you name as magic in a real world? Do you believe in supernatural things? For example, to actually be able to see the future and such? We live in a pretty big universe. I try to stay away from making solid statements about things like that because you're just bound to be wrong eventually. Do I believe in aliens? Do I believe in ghosts? I believe that I felt really strange things sometimes. And I know people who have witnessed rather strange things. And I've witnessed strange things myself that I cannot explain. Maybe one day science will be able to measure those things, and then they will become as normal as blood tests and taking someone's temperature. Who knows? Question number 62. My favorite question so far. Would you ever consider wearing winged eyeliner and or lipstick as red as the blood of angry men? Yes, it's going to happen. Trust me. Like, you think I look cute, you should see me with winged eyeliner. I looked amazing. But it's one of those things. It's just a matter of like time and getting more time, and also becoming a little bit more comfortable myself, but also just like time. But no, yeah, it's totally something that's gonna happen eventually. Like, it's going to happen. I'm gonna like achieve like cuteness transcendence and ascent to my final boss form in due time. Question number 63. If you could perform one number perfectly from any musical, no matter the vocal range, choreography, etc., which one would you pick? I had to look it up really quickly to make sure that I was correct. The song that I would do, and this is a silly one that I feel really close to, it's not even the whole song. Like, I would just honestly want to do like the last part of it, the last minute of Naughty from Matilda. I really like that song, and I feel it's kind of like a really inspirational song, because like, you can always just change your story. Life's not fair, but that doesn't mean you have to just sit down and take it. Naughty from Matilda, go look it up. It's actually a really nice song. Like, the last minute of it is just amazing, and I love it. Question number 64. What is the silliest story you can think of from the past year? That's actually really interesting. The only thing that comes to mind, and it's not even really that silly, it's just kind of like really, really stupid, I guess, is like a few months back, like Kitty and I just like, we were both kind of really tired. We were just hanging out and we were both really tired. I learned that later, but like at one point I felt that like she was being too quiet, so I got really quiet, and I was convinced that she was angry at me, and I did not know this, but she was convinced that I was angry at her for some reason. So imagine us like spending like 5 hours like this, and then at one point, just when we're both tired, I'm like, did I do something wrong? Are you angry at me? And then she's like, I thought you were angry at me. And then we just literally like start laughing, and just like we literally like we're both laughing because it was just so silly. Remember to always tell your friends how you feel and what's going on in your mind, because we were both literally tired. And that mind game of like, what are you thinking? No, I don't know, what are you thinking? Like, led to both of us like just feeling really silly and dorky. Question number 65. Do you cosplay? If so, who's on the list of characters for the future? I cosplay. I'm not a very good cosplayer, but I want to do more. Definitely more in the future. As for who have I cosplayed? I have cosplayed Komaida from Danganronpa 2, and I've also, like a long time ago, I did Dave from Homestuck. Shut up. No, we're not talking about this. Anyhow, who else do I want to do in the future? I would love to do like some Love Live cosplays. Hopefully with Kitty, so we can both be silly together. And I don't know, I think I would do like the second years. Like I feel like I can do any of the second years pretty well. I feel I could do Umi, which is pretty funny considering she's my favorite waifu. Question number 66. What is your secret to your fabulous selfies? There is actually a little bit of a secret to it, and I'm gonna tell you right now what the secret is. Sugar, love, and lots of ingredient X. Now, I don't even remember the opening to the Powerpuff Girls. It's been too long. What I like to do is when you're taking the selfie, at the very last, like, as the camera is going to like from 2 to 1 to 0, laugh. Just laugh as though you're imagining your best friends. Or what I like to do, I like to look at the camera and picture Plague or Kitty as though I just told them a joke or they told me a joke, and I just like to, smile and just look silly and look cute. That's basically my secret. Smile and laugh. Just like a stiff smiling looks stiff. You actively laugh like Take a selfie as though you're taking it for a friend. That's what helps. That's what works for me. And now we're down to the final 10 questions. Question number 67. What is your favorite condiment? It's weird because I don't know if this counts as like sauces as well. I really like pepper. Like, it's weird because I never had pepper growing up. That's just not a part of like Mexican cuisine. So when I came to the US and I saw all those like pepper grinders, I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, ooh, that's a different taste. I like it. As for like my favorite sauce, I'm a big nerd, and maybe it's because I really love seafood, but I love like tartar sauce and I love like Thousand Isle dressing. Like, those are like, I know they're really weird. Trust me, I know. I don't know why I feel this way, but I just love those. Maybe it's just like the weird combination of flavors, but I love those sauces. What can I say? Question number 67. What's your favorite way to procrastinate? I sometimes, whenever I'm trying to not do something, whenever I'm like, I really don't want to start shooting the video, I would just like, and I know because it's muscle memory now, I open up my bookmark toolbar on Chrome, and I open up Tumblr, Twitter, and YouTube as though to check for notifications. And I know that when I'm doing that, I better stop and actually get to work. If you see me like tweeting random things between the hours of like 9 and like 5, I'm probably procrastinating. Or I thought of a pretty good joke and I just wanted to share it with all of you before I forgot about it. Question number 69. What brings you the most story ideas? Washing dishes and showering. Maybe it's just because I'm actually a water zodiac symbol, Pisces. Because whenever I'm connected to water, I just feel like the ideas just flow better. But no, yeah, showering and washing dishes. Like, it's one of those things where, like, if you move to a new place with a dishwasher, would you use it? Heck no. Washing dishes is part of my creative writing process, and I would not give it away for anything. Question number 70. What's a weird habit that you have? You may not have these in your country or your part of the world. I don't know. But anyways, there's a place called Bath and Body Works, and they sell like candles and like fancy soaps and fancy things that just smell really nice. And one of the things they have are like really like tiny like hand sanitizers with like really nice smells. Could you actually like focus on the thing so they could see it, please? There you go. And this is just one, but I love to have one of those at my desk at every time. Not because I feel that my hands are dirty, but because I like the way that it smells. That's just the way that I am. And yes, there are times when I will change the type of like sweet scented thing that I have on my desk based on the books that I'm writing. Yes, that is, as a matter of fact, true. Question number 71. In many of your videos, you mention a rough time in your life. Can you talk about that? I can, and I have. I talked about it on my video on my origin story. If you want to get the whole thing, it's literally like half an hour of me talking about it. Go to my channel and just search for origin story. You'll find it. It's gonna be the first result. I talked about it a lot. It's one of those things where like, if you want a quick summary, just everything literally didn't go very well. Like friendships didn't go well, my job got really sucky, I wasn't happy with my writing, and just everything kept getting worse and worse and worse. But I got better though. Anyhow, question number 72. What is your favorite word? I've talked about this in the past. My favorite word, because it was the first word. I remember where I heard it. I remember where I heard it, and I remember where I was. I was in my freshman year of high school in the US. I was in my English class. We were reading a book about some Cambodian girl, I forget, and in it there was a word I had never read, and the teacher was talking about it, and the word is hesitate. I had never heard that word in my life, and it sounded cool because it was one of those first words that there was no link to it in Spanish, and there was nothing like it in Spanish, and it wasn't only entirely alien, but I couldn't BS my way into understanding what it meant because there was no connection to Spanish, and it also sounded cool. Hesitate. It sounds like an alien word. Hesitate. Question number 73. What is your most hated writing cliche? The fact that people take cliches seriously. That just pains me to no end. I will eventually make that video on why I think cliches are a problem. But for now, I will tell you what is my most hated writing cliche. People taking the hero's journey seriously. Like, looking at it as though it's a formula for writing. That literally, it makes me like crimson metal. Like it's just like if I was made of metal, it just makes me like glowing red hot because I'm just like writing. There's no formula to writing. You cannot possibly show up at my doorstep and ask me, "Hey, I'm having issues following the hero's journey. What advice do you have for me?" Don't follow the hero's journey. The hero's journey is firing an arrow and then drawing a bullseye around it. It's not a guide for telling stories. It's just how someone interprets stories. Oh god, I am already furious about it. That being said, if you like the hero's journey, that's fine. You're allowed to like it. I'm just not very particularly keen on it. That's all. Question number 74. What's a story you like to revisit often, as in movies, books, and anime? I think, and I have to be entirely honest, like the series that I've been revisiting a lot, like these last 3 years, and the one that I think about all the time is Roger Zelazny's Chronicles of Amber, or also known, like, the first book is called Nine Princes in Amber. It's weird because that book is ancient, by the way. It's like, it came out in like the 70s, and I really like it. I really like it because it's that, like, it was the perfect medium point between a setting that is deep and interesting and so alien to any other fantasy out there, and interesting characters who are doing interesting things. It pains me because that series has a really unsatisfactory second arc, and it pains me a little bit because I really love that world and the characters, but what's there, it's really good. And like every once in a while, like literally like once every 2 weeks, I'm like, Roger Zelazny died like 30 years ago. I could just pick this up. And just to hell with everything, but that's also copyright infringement. But it's one of those things where I'm like, I love this world and I love these characters and I wished it would have been explored more. Question number 75. What story do you think is overrated? I'm gonna be entirely honest with you, and this may come as a surprise to some of you. I can't stand people saying things like underrated and overrated because those things don't mean anything. You know what they mean? They mean that you believe a story, too many people like one thing or not enough people like one thing. Now, I know people feel this way, that's fine, but to me, and maybe it's different for me because I came from a world, a country, a language in which that word doesn't exist. So when I learned what that word meant, it's like, oh, so what story do you think too many people like? And I'm like, people can like whatever the heck they want. I don't care. I like to judge things based on what I believe of them, and I get it. Like, sometimes something comes up and it just becomes super popular and people just like sigh at the sight of it, like Minecraft, right? But I don't. Like, I played Minecraft, I bought it in the alpha, I played tons of it, it's interesting, but like, the idea of like, hating it because a lot of people play it or a lot of people like it, it's just downright silly. Like, that's like, and I hate to put it like this, and I'm not saying you are this thing, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like the idea of like, the prototypical hipster who's like, it was cool when nobody liked it, but now that everybody likes it, it's not cool anymore. Like, that's not, my brain does not actually work like that. Maybe it's because I came from a culture where that concept doesn't actually exist. Like, that word doesn't exist in Spanish, like overrated, underrated, like, and I deal with this all the time because I have friends of friends who are always complaining about things being under or overrated. And I'm just standing there going like, why is your enjoyment of something based on what other people think about it? I don't know, maybe I'm just weird. Question number 76. What do you think of a young person under 25 aiming to be an author that lives comfortably from those books? What do you think their chances are? You mean like a percentage? Or like a rating? Like 3 seashells out of 5 cinnamon rolls? I'm being facetious and being silly. Here is something you need to understand right now. The world of writing is in flux. Even right now is in flux, and nobody knows where it's gonna go. And people have ideas, and the world is adapting right now as we speak. What you need to understand is that a bunch of the writers that you look up to, a bunch of the writers that are famous right now, grew up in an entirely different setting and place. My favorite book on writing, called On Writing by Stephen King, is an amazing book. Yeah, I believe it that everyone out there who wants to be a writer has got to read that book, because that book does not only show you the journey of one person. The journey that's not embellished at all. Like Stephen King admits the worst points in his life and talks about his drug addiction, talks about the time that a car nearly destroyed him and his fear of getting back into writing after months of lying on a hospital bed. It's a very human story. And the other half of that book is writing advice. And all of it is still on point except for one thing. The publishing part. There's a chapter in that book about publishing. And if you read that, you will realize that this book was written in 1999. It was written 16 years ago. Back when the path to becoming a writer was sending things to magazines. I know. A couple of you are like, what the hell are literary magazines? They don't exist anymore. They're kind of a dying breed. You live in a world right now where fan fiction is enormous, where there are channels for you to share your stuff out there, where there's a place where people who are under the age of 25 are millionaires. Through YouTube, through Vine, through Twitter, to all these things. Social media did not exist 16 years ago. Heck, it didn't exist 5 years ago. 5 years ago it was a little thing. Now it's enormous. Now it's this enormous thing, and the world is changing. You're saying, what about a young person under the age of 25? How old you are doesn't matter. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Nobody gives a flying damn about how old you are. All they care about is liking your work. They want to like your work. When people pick up your books, they want to enjoy them. And they pick it up, they read it, now what? If you don't have more content, they can't read it. Also, my computer is being silly. As I told in another question, you gotta write stuff, you gotta talk about it, and you gotta make more. That's it. It's the same idea as getting big in YouTube. It's the same idea as getting big in any business that involves the public. You gotta make things, talk about them, and make more. And I'm gonna tell you this right now. There's a Chinese proverb that the best time to plant a tree was a year ago. The second best time is now. Get started. As with YouTube, as with anything that involves having an audience, start making things, start talking about them, and keep on releasing them and making more. It's as simple as that. And if you think that's all cute and all, well, I mean, Neil Gaiman didn't hit it big until he was 28 with the release of Sandman. Anne Lamott, writer of Bird by Bird, didn't get big until her 4th book at the age of 26. It takes time. But the only way you're gonna get there is to start. The only way you're gonna build a house is to start laying down bricks. Or if it's America, you start putting in the foundations, racing beams. You gotta start. I know I've gone on long enough, but I want to close that question right. I don't like questions like that. I don't like them because what do you think are my odds of being successful? What do you want out of writing? Do you want to get rich? Because there are way easier ways to get rich. Bank robbery is one of them. I don't recommend them, but there are easier ways to make money. If you're going to do it through writing, if you think writing is the easiest way to make money, it's not. Every writer out there will tell you that. If you enjoy telling stories, though, and you're willing to work really hard at it for a long while, you'll find success. Everyone does. The point is to work hard. If you don't want to work, if you think it's just writing stuff and not giving a damn, it's not that. You're not gonna last. I want to tell you this right now, because I took creative writing courses many times, and in those we were meant to write a lot and share with people, and the class would always start full with like 50 students, 50 to like 30 to like 40 students, I think. And by the second, third, fourth week, that number would just cut down. Why? Because the people who are doing it because they think it's easy immediately quit. Because it's not easy. And I don't want to scare you, but I want you to realize, if you're in this for the money, every writer out there has told you this before. This is not the profession for people who want money. This is the profession for people who like to tell stories. Simple as that. And with that serious question out of the way, let's wrap this up with question 77. The question that I've been thinking about in the back of my mind for basically an hour now. Question 77. Which superhero would you marry? Don't take into account their enemies that may try to kidnap you. This is rough. This is actually really rough. It's weird because I guess I never felt like that about superheroes. It's weird. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, Bad Woman is pretty cool. Not Bad Girl. Bad Woman. She's pretty cool. She's totally Team Frowny Face. I'm sure she's probably a giant baby who's totally super cuddly. But I have to go with my teenage crush. There was a comic book a long time ago called Thunderbolts. Yeah, Thunderbolts. And Thunderbolts was basically, back in the day, back in the 90s, there was an arc in which the Avengers all died or disappeared. And basically, the United States, humanity's in chaos. They're all like, whoa, the Avengers are dead, or they're gone. What do we do? What do we do? Out of the shadows emerge this new team of superheroes called the Thunderbolts, just as fast as lightning. And they were awesome. But you may be wondering to yourselves, Max, why is this special? Well, because Thunderbolts was made of a bunch of villains who decided to put up an act and pretend to be heroes as a way to, push forward their plans. And it was made of a bunch of ancient supervillains. And they all lied about who they were, so nobody knew who their past. They were still those villains, but they all put on new costumes. And my favorite one of them all was a supervillain who used to be called Moonstone, but now went by the name of Meteorite. And it's been forever since I read those books, but I have that keen memory of Meteorite basically being super nice to everybody while still trying to be the leader. And I know it's weird, but I see her and I know she seems like she would be super cuddly, and she has this tough exterior, but of course that's all of the hard chocolate shell to get into this super sweet caramel nugget in the inside. I think she would probably be a giant softie on the inside. And super cuddly, and honestly, I would totally, if she proposed to me, I would totally marry Meteorite. And with that silliness out of the way, that's 77 questions. 2 hours of answering questions. I'm gonna have to edit a bunch of my failed takes out of the way, but other than that, this has been really fun. Thank you for another great year on the channel, and thank you so much for sending in your questions. I love getting your ridiculous questions, and the serious ones as well. And I hope that this video series was a bit of a mix of both, a little bit silly, a little bit serious, and a lot of me, which is a little bit of both when you think about it. But anyhow, this was really fun. Again, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for tagging along. Thank you for another great year, and I can't wait to see what lies ahead. Until then, though, again, thank you for watching. Thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me, hearing me answering ridiculous questions, and I'll see you on the next one.